Welcome back to the She Thrives Influential Women podcast. I am your host, Lori Murphy, and I am an empowerment coach for women, award-winning published co-author, as well as a public speaker. And I am so grateful to have you all joining me today for another fantastic episode. And today's topic is something that I think, especially around the holidays, we are less than a week away from Christmas, ending 2024. And I know that I have been dealing with a lot of stress, and I think a lot of people have too. So I wanted to talk about cortisol. And what is cortisol, how it affects our bodies, women in particular, and ways that we could try to manage that, right? Bring the cortisol levels down. Now, before I dive into all of that, let me tell you a little bit about myself. For those of you that are new to the podcast and joining for the first time, I am a woman who has been in recovery from alcoholism for 13 years. And my journey from coming out of darkness, battling my own demons, brought me to a place of self-discovery, healing, self-love, finding my self-worth, and hearing my calling. And that calling is to help other women along in their journeys, helping them build their self-confidence, helping them overcome their fears, helping them be able to live to their fullest potential so that they could thrive in all areas of their lives. And that is also the purpose behind this podcast. This podcast is a platform that I created to bring that positive influence into your life on a weekly basis, to be able to bring you stories from other women and how they've navigated through their personal struggles, how they were able to bring themselves to where they are in their lives, to be able to show you that if we all can do it, so can you, and to provide that support. Because the thing is, we can't do this stuff alone. We need that support system. And my vision and my mission is to build that community with this podcast of strong women to be able to bring this positive influence throughout the world to women, from the United States, all around, Indonesia. I have people that have been listening to this podcast in Belgium, in India, in Africa, and it just brings my heart so much joy, and it makes me so full of gratitude to know that something that is being said in this podcast is impacting these to women everywhere, and that I have been given this opportunity to let my voice and other women's voices and our stories be heard. Now, one of the things I wanted to kind of dive into really quick before I get into the topic of cortisol is, subscribing to this channel if you haven't already. In subscribing to this channel, downloading your favorite episodes helps this podcast get heard throughout the world even more. It boosted up an algorithm so that when women are searching for personal growth and development or podcasts meant for women, this is going to be one of the first podcasts that get brought to their attention, and then they can click on it and hear your story or my story or something that's going to bring them helpful tips along their personal journeys. And that's we need to get this message out there. We need to get this community built because it's so important to bring these messages out there. And you all could be a contributing factor in all of that. You can help by subscribing, by downloading, by leaving reviews, by sharing this podcast with your friends on your social medias and saying, check out this podcast. This episode really helped me today, and it could help you. We need to get this community growing. We need to bring this out there more. I have so much of a vision for what this podcast can do for others, and I need your help. I need your help, guys, in helping me boost this podcast to help it grow, to help bring on sponsors that can also get this message out there so that I could support them by telling you about their products and their businesses. It's really a gift that keeps on giving, and we can do this together. So hit the subscribe button, leave a review, share it with your friends, with your family, on your social medias. Let's do this together. And that would mean the world to me. And if you reach out to me, I'd love to be able to offer you something special as a gift for your support. And you can reach me at my email address, M as in Michael C, empowerment@gmail.com. You could find me on social media under Facebook, Lori A. Murphy Empowerment Coach for Women. I'm on TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram, all the platforms. Follow me, connect with me. Let's book a call. How can I be of service to you along your journey? Because I would love to be able to. And all of those connections, those contact information will be in the description of this episode. I love you and I appreciate you so much for continuing to support me along this incredible journey and supporting the guests that come on here to share their stories, because their stories need to be heard too. It's not just about me, guys. To be honest with you, it's not about me at all, right? I'm just providing the platform. This is about you. This is about my listeners. This is about the community. This is about the women that are coming on here and having the courage to share their stories and opening up, some of them for the very first time. It's about them. It's about the people that need to hear their message. So now that I'm done going on that spiel, I would love to be able to get into the topic about cortisol. Many of us are feeling the stress right now, right? The holiday stress, the financial stress. I know that a lot of us tend to love to give gifts and go big, right? And you're buying presents for your family, your loved ones, your friends. And, it brings us joy to be able to give. But then there's also that other component of the money and feeling like you don't have enough, or you've used a lot of your resources financially. And, we've racked up credit card bills, or we've drained our bank account. And now we go to the grocery store and our grocery bill is a few hundred. I know for me, it's me and my husband. We don't have a family. We don't have children. We have 2 cats. And my grocery bill right now has gone up significantly in the last month. And if I'm feeling it, I know everybody else is feeling it too. And those cortisol levels are just skyrocketing, right? Or just the everyday you're going to work and you have a stressful position and you have tasks that need to get done and you're under a tremendous amount of pressure. Or your marriage is struggling, or your relationship with your boyfriend or girlfriend is, in a detrimental state. And you're arguing and you're fighting, or you're fighting with your kids, right? You have a teenager at home who is rebelling. All of these things are stressors, right? And now you're putting weight on, especially in your stomach area, and you're carrying it, and you're over there like, but I don't eat, a lot of crap, right? Like I eat healthy. What the hell is going on here? Or you're waking up in the morning feeling like you need about 6 more hours of sleep, even though you've gotten 8 or 9, and it's just not enough. And you're feeling that. That is cortisol, right? Stress is something that we all face. But did you know that there is a hormone that plays a starring role in how our body responds to it. So today, while we're diving into all of that, that stress hormone is cortisol and how it uniquely affects us as women, right? So women, we live our lives to the fullest, you know, and our lives are full of careers and relationships and self-care and so much more. And we're trying to do it all, right? We have our household duties and our outside of the household duties. We have our responsibilities at work. I mean, I feel it every day as somebody who still works full time in my career in dentistry, and I'm at work, 9 to 10 hours a day. And then I come home, I have to make sure that there's dinner on the table. I got to make sure that, the dishes are washed or my lunch is made, and I have clients or other calls that are scheduled in the evening, and my night doesn't stop until anywhere between 8 and 9 o'clock, and I am just exhausted. And sometimes those dishes don't get done. They just don't. I'll be completely transparent with you because there are just some days I come home from work and I'm lucky if I get to have like an actual sit down meal where I'm not shoving my food down my throat so that I can get down for my, first call. And then I come upstairs and I'm just so tired that I look at that sink and those dishes piling up. And I am just like, I'll deal with that tomorrow. But my anxiety now is through the roof because the house is not clean. All of the lights in the house are on. The TV's on because my husband's watching TV. I want to settle down and start getting ready to, call it a night so I can go to bed at 9:30, but I'm not rested at all. And I can't rest when the house is cluttered, the lights are on, there's all this noise. And this has been increasing. So over the course of the last few weeks, maybe the last couple months, where it's like I am so exhausted, but I can't rest. I can't settle. And a lot of that is the cortisol that is just, I right now have an extremely high level of cortisol, and I am carrying a lot of weight in my belly, and I'm not comfortable, and I don't feel good. I certainly don't feel sexy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I would rather just put on baggy clothes and throw a blanket on or my bathrobe and just, curl up into a ball, right? Like, who can relate to that? So, cortisol is our body's alarm system. It it's what gets through the stressful moments. It's what's carrying us, like a tough work deadline or rushing to pick up your kids. Cortisol will increase in those moments, and it's basically that fuel we need to get through that stress, right? So it's produced by our adrenal glands and is designed to help us handle short-term stress. But here's the catch: when stress is constant, your body doesn't get the all clear, and the cortisol stays elevated. So when you're in a constant state of stress, your cortisol does not go back down. It's only meant to get you through moments. It's not meant to stay increased and high on a daily consistent basis. So this is when high levels of cortisol become a problem. Um, think of cortisol like your body's coffee, right? It's great in small doses, but if you have too much, it makes you jittery and your heart palpitations are going a mile a minute. You feel like anxious and you're wired, right? So that's kind of what cortisol is, right? It's basically like that body's coffee where in small doses it's wonderful, but if you have too much, it's just you're off the chain, right? And you're constantly off the chain. Um, so how does high cortisol affect us as women? And so let's break it down. So bear with me because if you don't mind, I actually have notes that I'm reading off of just because I've mentioned this before in previous episodes. I have an ADHD brain and I could go off the rails. So the notes help me stay on track. So here's the breakdown of how cortisol is affecting us as women. So it could be very physical. So do you ever feel like you're gaining weight in your midsection, like I had mentioned before? And you're eating healthy, you're eating avocados and Greek yogurt, and you have your protein, you're not eating processed foods. You have fish for dinner, like a piece of salmon with a delicious, green and some whole grain rice for dinner. You're eating healthy, but yet you're putting on weight. And a lot of that is because that's your cortisol. When your cortisol level is increased, what happens is that it starts to store fat, especially in the belly area. It also messes with your immune system. Do you ever notice when you are in a state of high stress and you're constantly in a state of high stress and you're going through stressful moments and all of a sudden you come down with a cold or the flu and you end up getting sick? That is because your immune system is weakened because the cortisol is so high, it's hard for your body to fight off any, viruses. It could also affect us emotionally. So high cortisol amps up the anxiety and can lead to, levels of burnout where you're just, like I said, super exhausted. You're very snippy. You can't concentrate. And, that's really the cortisol. And that's cortisol is talking to you. Um, Hormonal. So when women, are having high levels of cortisol, it disrupts your menstrual cycle and it worsens your PMS. And it can even make perimenopause symptoms feel, harder to handle. So I've been, I've shared with you all my struggles with the hormone stuff. In a previous episode, I talked about perimenopause and menopause, and I, was having some real difficult issues with a lot of perimenopause symptoms. Now, I have been under a lot of stress this past year. There's just been a lot of stressful events that have come up, and not just everything that I'm managing, because the truth is, I love what I do. I love coaching and I love this podcast. I love the women that I get to meet every single day. I love this work. It's not even work to me. It's really just, it's enjoyable. It's really just enjoyable. I do have a high demanding job, which can be extremely stressful, and just other outside factors. But I was actually starting to have like hot flashes and all of these types of hormonal symptoms. And my OBGYN and I are in the process of trying to get everything regulated and normal. Um, but perfect example, I'm in this place of PMS right now. Now, mind you, I have gone from regular birth control to an IUD. And so I can feel things are out of whack, but this would be my PMS week. And I have been having a real tough go with significant pain, cramping, significant leg pain, back pain. My anxiety is extremely high. And, my brain is just reeling, reeling, reeling. I have tightness in my chest. I've been meditating. I've been journaling. I've been deep breathing, and I've been able to maintain it to the best of my ability, but it's there, right? And I know my cortisol levels are very high because of the stress. So it's amplifying my PMS symptoms, right? So signs that you may have high cortisol, like how do you know, right? And this is how I know that my cortisol levels have been high. Um, how do you know? Do you feel tired and wired at night? I just shared my experience with that. I'm very wired at night, but I'm extremely tired. I've been having a hard time falling asleep. When I'm asleep, I don't have trouble staying asleep. It's getting to that point. So I'll take a low dose of melatonin, and drink some sleepy time tea. I have a delicious sleepy time tea that I've been drinking that's also a detox tea. Um, and I will try to do that before taking melatonin, um, just because I don't feel as groggy in the morning as I do when I take melatonin, even if I'm only taking like 5 milligrams of melatonin, just to get me to that point where I can at least just settle down. Um, so that is a sign, you're wired, right? But yet you're feeling exhausted. Like you could go to bed and go to sleep, but your mind and your body is like still on overdrive. That's cortisol. Um, do you crave salty and sugary foods, in particularly in that afternoon, or after dinner? Are you trying to go for a bag of chips or get yourself a nice yummy dessert? Are you craving it? Is it something that you are desiring and can't stay away from? Um, that's your body seeking quick energy to combat stress. You ever hear of stress eating? It's because you're stressed out. Your cortisol levels have skyrocketed, and your body is like, I need some energy, right? So it's grabbing and, basically not craving something like a bowl of fruit or a bowl of berries or something that might actually um, boost that energy. Sometimes what I'll do is if I have that craving, I'll go, drink some water, or I'll have some green tea. I keep green tea with turmeric at the office. When I need that extra energy boost, um, and I feel like I could just, go for something really sweet, I'll drink some green tea or I'll drink some water, and that'll take away that desire for something sweet. Um, but you can have a handful of blueberries or strawberries. Get your sweet from something natural. If you can't resist the craving, sometimes I'll have an apple, you know. It kind of takes away that sweet craving, and you're getting something nutritious and healthy that is good for you, right? They say an apple a day keeps the doctor away. There's reasons for that. Because when we're having excessive amounts of sugar, we're also running the risk of obesity, and, type 2 diabetes is a high risk if we're consuming too much. So these are things to just make sure you're aware of, for the future, if you're feeling those cravings. You're having a hard time losing weight. You're trying. You go to the gym and you're working out. You're eating healthy. You're doing all the things, but yet you cannot lose weight. And it's not because there's a lack of effort. You are certainly doing it. You're doing all the things, you're doing all the right things, but the cortisol is at work. So, one of the things I would definitely check is with your doctor, check with your doctor, um, if you're suspecting that there's hormonal balance. And that's one of the things that I just recently did, right? I went and I had my levels tested. Now, the funny thing is that my levels did not come back completely off. They actually, like, my estrogen level was like flatline perfect. But I was also on a hormonal birth control that provided estrogen because it was a ring, an estrogen ring. And my OBGYN, so my primary did the blood work, And my OBGYN says, well, this was for naught. I'm really sorry to tell you that, but you can't test your hormones when you're on birth control. So talk to your OBGYN. If you don't have one, talk to your primary care about getting one. But we should all have an OBGYN, especially if we're still in our reproductive years and we're still getting a period. You should still be seeing your OBGYN. And I fell off with that because my primary took on um my PAPs and that type of care, a couple of years ago. Um, but I'm sticking with my OBGYN. If you're in the upstate New York area, the Albany area, you definitely want to, and you need an OBGYN, check out Dr. Vincent Corcoran. He's at St. Peter's Health Partners. He bounces around from different locations. But he is the freaking man. He's been the only OBGYN I've seen since I was probably 20 years old, 19. I think I was 19 when I started going. A little late in life, I guess, But he helped me through my endometriosis diagnosis and the struggles I had with that. Now he's helping me with this. He's just wonderful, and he's very compassionate, and he legitimately cares about his patients. So just putting that out there. But like I said, if you are not in this area and you need an OBGYN, unfortunately, I don't know others in other areas. Talk to your friends, talk to your primary, get a referral, and make that appointment. Um, Root causes of elevated cortisol. Um, Stress triggers. Let's talk about stress triggers. So chronic stress from work or caregiving or toxic relationships. Those are triggers to increased cortisol. That is setting off your stress levels. Over caffeinating to get through the day. I've realized, I think, and here's the thing, guys, I don't drink that much. I really don't drink that much coffee. Like I have my little cup of coffee. Check out this little mug right here. It's got a cat face on the lid. It says, best mom ever. One of my coworkers gave this to me for Christmas. It's the cutest thing because she knows I love cats. And it's got a little heater, or like a little disc where you plug it in, and it provides heat to keep your coffee hot, which is perfect because my coffee gets very cold in this basement where I'm recording right now. And it very quickly. But I will have, probably more coffee than I should. I have a couple cups of coffee in the morning for sure. And then I don't have any for the rest of the day. I've noticed that seems to definitely increase my heart rate, especially as of late. So I have to make that conscious effort to reduce the caffeination. Like I said, in the afternoon, if I need to pick me up, I'll typically go for some green tea, decaffeinated green tea. Because the caffeine isn't what I need, right? Like that's not what I need to boost my energy. Um, Another thing, which could be actually triggering your stress, is over exercising without enough recovery time. Have you ever done that? Did you know that you can actually have an addiction to exercise? Fun fact, it's true. Like, um, if you are going to the gym and then, you're doing an hour, maybe even two at the gym, and then you go home and you do some other type of exercise activity, um, that could actually, and there's no recovery time, and you're obsessing over working out all the time. Without that recovery time, you're actually stressing your body out and increasing cortisol levels. Um, I have, and that's the thing, guys. Yeah, I've been there. I have been there. And juggling too much and relying on caffeine to keep going, I have been there. Wondering why I feel depleted, I've been there. It's a cycle, but you are the only one that can break that cycle, right? So how do we reduce the cortisol? Now we know what it is, how it's affecting us as women. We know that, you know, it's being caused by certain things, what our stressors are. So now what do we do with it? How do we manage the stress? how do we manage our cortisol and bring our levels back down? And one of the things that you do, and I've been doing this almost every day now, making sure to take these steps and take them serious. And that is deep breathing or meditation. If you're at work and you can't put on a guided meditation, you can go into the bathroom and do some deep breathing. I have an amazing exercise that I've been doing that, is kind of inspired by yoga, and it really just brings it down. And then I feel calm and that tightness in my chest goes away. Trying to put on a guided meditation in the morning if I have give myself the time to do it, even if it's just 5 minutes or just sitting in silence and praying is a form of meditation for me. All you need is 5 minutes to shift your nervous system out of stress mode, right? So if you're in the middle of the day and you go on your lunch break, go sit in your car, take 5 minutes and do some deep breathing, put on a guided meditation if you can, and just let yourself reduce that stress level. My full-time job, we don't really get breaks. We get I can't say that we're not allowed to. It's more or less you go and you take a break when you can. We work straight through the day. And I I have actually found that that's been problematic for me because I don't get that time to reduce my stress levels. I used to take my lunch breaks and I used to work next to a big town park, and I would go on my lunch breaks and I'd try to eat my lunch, you know, before my actual lunch break so that I could use that whole hour to go for a walk through the park. Or I would, on days where there was bad weather, I'd go sit in my car, I'd put on a guided meditation. When I returned to work, I felt rejuvenated. I was energized. I didn't crave sweets. I didn't have any issues. I felt healthier. Since I've started my job, I've put on probably 20 pounds, 15 at least. And that's not because I eat like crap. It's not for any other reason other than I don't have any time to take a break to be able to give myself that time to reduce to shift my nervous system. I'm in a constant state of stress all throughout the day. And so, you know, so now I just try to make sure if I can sneak into the bathroom or go into the lab and just take 5 minutes to do some deep breathing, it definitely is helping with the nervous system and trying to do more practices at home. Sleep hygiene. So set a consistent bedtime and limit screen time an hour before bed. Your body needs those signals to wind down. So I still will, I do still look at my phone before bed, but one of the things that I've been trying to do is I go and I turn the TV down to a low level and I turn the lights down around the house and make the house dimmer. So it signals to my brain that it's time to go to bed. Sometimes like my bathroom light is so bright. It is way too bright, actually, to be honest. I personally think it's too bright. At night more than anything. And I sometimes will have to go into the bathroom and I'll actually just turn the light off because it's like I walk into the bathroom even when I'm tired and it signals my brain that it's like daylight. I swear to you. And all of a sudden that tiredness just goes away and I get this I just get this, I start winding back up instead of winding down. My husband thinks I'm weird because I'm in the bathroom in the dark, but it's like I'm trying to tell my brain that it's bedtime. I'm trying to wind down. I can't wind down if all the lights are on, the house is bright, and there's all this activity going on at 9 o'clock at night. It doesn't work for me. Or I have to go lay in the bedroom and just, lights off, earplugs are in. I got my eye mask and I just wait until I go to sleep. Those are some things you can do if if you need. If you need to put white noise on to drain out all the noise going on outside your bedroom, that's fine. But those are ways that you can signal to your brain that it's time to go to sleep and stay consistent. I typically try to make sure that even on the weekends I go to bed at around 9:30 because and try to get up early so I don't screw everything up. But I'm not perfect and I'm not always the best. Sometimes on the weekends I definitely stay up later and sleep a little later. But who doesn't, right? Nutrition. Eating meals with protein, healthy fats, and whole carbs to stabilize your blood sugar. First off, X-nay on the idea that carbs are bad for you. Let's normalize healthy carbs and the idea that they are good for you. If you're getting your carbs through, you know, white pasta, potato chips, if you are getting your carbs through, you know, things that are more like sweet potatoes or whole grains, there's a difference because your carbs coming from your sweet potatoes and your whole grains those are your good carbs. Your body needs that. Your metabolism needs it to keep going and it helps reduce the blood, it helps stabilize the blood sugar, where opposed to eating something like, white bread or you know, having things like white pasta, those are bad carbs. Your potato chips, those are bad carbs. Um, my microphone came off the desk, so bear with me here, guys. Um, but a great example of getting some kind of really good protein and making sure you're getting proper nutrition, you can do avocado toast with an egg or some salmon with quinoa. I'm trying to incorporate more quinoa into my daily diet. But like one of the things I've actually been doing for my breakfast is, or excuse me, my lunch is rice cakes. Plain rice cakes with light salt, not the flavored kinds that are actually loaded with sugars and added sugar, but just plain rice cakes. All there is in those is whole grain. Look at the ingredients. It's one ingredient. That's it. That's a whole food. I mash up some avocado and then I put some hard boiled, slice up some hard boiled egg, put that on top, a little bit of that, everything bagel seasoning, sprinkle that on top. Not only is that really good, because that's my form of avocado toast, but you can use a whole grain bread, right? And that's perfect. And let me tell you, that really fills you up. You don't need anything else after that. You really don't. Like, I'll make myself two slices, and all I need is one. And then I feel like I've wasted the rest, but that's a story for another day. Um, Limit caffeine after 2 p.m. So if it's after 2 p.m., don't reach for a cup of coffee. If you're somebody who likes the taste of coffee, switch to decaf. I would say if you feel like, because caffeine is a drug, so a lot of times we find ourselves addicted to it. I wouldn't say just stopping cold turkey. You could switch to half calf and just do half decaf, half caffeinated. Wean yourself down off of that afternoon coffee until you get to not having coffee, right? Um, you can have a decaf cup of coffee and going straight down. Or you could do, green tea, like I said, like 3 times already. Um, but limiting caffeine after 2 p.m., it's a, cortisol booster that you just the caffeine after 2 p.m. is the cortisol booster that you do not need. You do not need it, right? So start weaning yourself down from that movement. So if you're doing intense workouts and you're finding yourself, you're not giving yourself that recovery time, you could scale back. So if you go to the gym and you work out and then you feel the need to be active continuously, you can go for a walk, walk around the block, walk a couple miles, do some yoga, very relaxing, and reduces the cortisol. Um, you have to be sure that you're getting that healthy balance, you know. It's not good to be, you know, solitary. It's not good to be sitting still all the time. And sometimes we do need a little bit more movement in our day than just our half an hour at the gym. So there are natural aids that you can utilize to help with the, increased cortisol that helps, with mood. Ashwagandha that can help regulate your stress response. I was actually just reading about lemon balm last night, which is an herb that has many benefits as like an anti-anxiety. It's helpful with, sleep regulation. Um, it's got a list. There is a list of wonderful benefits, but I also read that it's very good for that excess weight that we're carrying in our gut, and that's because it's helpful with the stress reduction. So lemon balm, they have it in a capsule form. I think they have it in a liquid form. You can get it as a tea at your grocery store. I'm actually planning on getting myself some of that as well because I am all about managing my stress right now and um, helping reduce the cortisol levels. If you haven't ever looked into um, acupuncture, acupuncture has a million different health benefits. It's fantastic for digestive health. It's fantastic for hormone balance. It's fantastic for healing your body from other illnesses. It will reduce cortisol and help manage stress. So look into your local acupuncture specialist um, because I love it. It was so beneficial when I had cluster headaches back in like 2012 or 2013. I was out of work for quite a few weeks. Actually, I was pulled from work. My neurologist had to clear me to go back. I was in and out of the hospital and just I had this migraine for literal 4 months, literally 4 months. It was a cluster headache. I'm being put on, narcotics, which I hated. So I got off of those. Blood pressure medication, because apparently that helps with migraines. Um, Anti-seizure medication. Now, I don't have high blood pressure. I'm not struggling with seizures, but apparently these are supposed to be medications that help with migraines. They even put me on a migraine medication. They're just putting me on pill after pill after pill. And then I finally went to an acupuncture specialist, and that was the only thing that really worked. Not the meds, the acupuncture. That helps with back pains. I've gone for my digestive health issues, and it helped get things flowing. I have irritable bowel syndrome. So, luckily, I have it managed, but that's a story for another day. Boundaries. I love boundaries. Oh, before I get into that, if you want some help with sleeping, another thing you could do outside of sleepy time tea or melatonin is magnesium. Magnesium before bed is a game changer because it helps relax you and it will help you sleep. Boundaries. Practice saying no to things that drain you. You got to protect your peace. So if there's something, even if I know that, we feel an obligation to be around family during the holidays, but if there is a situation where you're going to a family gathering or gathering with people outside the family that only drain you and make you uncomfortable or they say or do things that are harmful to you, um, protect your peace. Say no. It's part of your self-care. It's okay to say no. You don't have to go. There is no obligation. No matter if you're told that you have to, you do not have to do anything. Um, so essentially, I've shared with you a little bit of my experience, the things that I've been doing. I do utilize a lot of these tools, which has been a game changer. I feel much better when I start to notice the symptoms of like the heightened anxiety, the difficulty with sleeping. I will take the avenues that I've mentioned here to try to bring it, I'll do whatever I have to do, right? Because I know that I'm recognizing that I am in a state of high stress. I know what it's doing to my body. So I am taking the initiative. I'm not going to say that, if you do this stuff do this once, right? Like you start to feel it, you do this once, next thing you know, you're better. It's a daily practice. It's a daily practice, especially when we have work environments or things in our life that are just stressful. It's important to try to take these practices and utilize them on a daily basis in order to help limit those stress levels. So that is all that I have to say about that. So, stress is a part of life. It doesn't have to be something that rules your life. So, by understanding cortisol and making the small changes, it can reclaim your energy, it can boost your mood, and it can improve your health. I'd love to hear from you. I really truly would. What's one stress reducing habit that you're going to try this week? I'd love to hear you share with me. So please connect with me. I provided my contacts earlier on in the episode. I will put them in the description, my email, my social medias. Tell me what you're going to try this week. Share with me on, Instagram, Facebook, wherever, or even just, like I said, in my email. And if this episode resonated with you, share with it with a friend. Please, let's keep it going. If there's somebody in your life who is struggling with these, very areas, please share this episode with them. Let them know that there is a solution. And, if I can be an aid and a guidance to help you along in your journey, let's book a call. If you need that person that can encourage you, that can help you through it, somebody that you can talk to help reduce your stress, to help you stay accountable on taking care of yourself. That's what I do. That's what I do. That's what I'm here for. So let's book a call. Let's see and let's navigate how I can be of service to you. I absolutely 100% appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for checking out and listening to this episode today. If you haven't already, please subscribe. I'd love for you to continue to be a part of this journey, be a part of this community, and let's grow and thrive together. And until next time, let go of fear and let your spirit shine.